bloggers play a really big part of the release closer to the theatrical release. So it might be that we work with them on screenings or getting them in to see the film. Really, they are incredibly useful at spreading the word. So it really varies with influencers on how we work with them. Sometimes it's paid and sometimes it's not paid. We will, more often than not, it starts with a conversation, and earlier the conversation happens, the better. It's always good to know what kind of influencer has an interest in, whether it's a different genre, a director, or if there's a particular actor that they're a really big fan of. Sometimes you can't necessarily tell that from their content. So the best thing to do is that we work with them as early as possible, have a conversation. We try to look at the demographics, who their audience is, how that matches up with who we're trying to reach with our film advertising, and then talk about what kind of things they'd be interested in doing, whether that be a junket opportunity, so putting them in front of our film and cast talent to do a straight film interview, or sometimes a bit more of a fun mechanics. Or we'll be looking at something a little bit immersive. We might take them to set if we've got that opportunity, really to just get them excited about it. And then close to release, after junkets, there's obviously premiere opportunities and screenings of the film. And that's really exciting when the film is kind of in its final stage and it's fully finished. And that's really an opportunity for them to watch the full film. Hopefully we've worked out that it's a film that they would like, and then they can help us spread the word about how cool the movie is and where they can buy tickets. Sometimes there'll be a theme to a movie which is easy to tie in with the type of content that an influencer makes already. From a lifestyle blogger who we know has a passion for extreme sports, we might have, you know, a particular car stunt or motorbike stunt in a movie, and we can get them in touch with the stunt director to talk a bit about that, or in the actual car that was used in the movie. So there's lots of different ways that we can work with influencers based on their passion points and where we think there would be a really good and strong synergy between their interests and our film. A lot of our influencer activity is taken on a case-by-case basis and a film-by-film basis, and some films lend themselves more easily to kind of partnerships and collaborations around themes in the movie, and others will be doing a real hard word of mouth sell because of the credibility of the movie and how we really believe in it and want to spread the good reviews and the good news. So we work with influencers both on a paid basis and also a non-paid basis. Generally speaking, I think this is across the board, if we're offering time with our talent, with cast, with filmmakers, then that's generally unpaid, and it's seen as more of a really exciting opportunity and partnership for both people, and hopefully the interest is on both sides to really talk about the movie and the filmmaking process. When it veers into more of a brand partnership or a commercial partnership is generally when we're asking an influencer to be a little bit more creative, a little bit more involved, to create something for their channel that involves time and often production on their part. And so quite often what we take into account is the time that's involved and what the creative idea is. And sometimes we can help on that front as well. But it's very much a partnership. So we'll help brainstorm ideas. We have to make sure that our movie messaging is in the video and included, things like book tickets or the at-cinema date. And it's much more of a collaboration and a process. Generally, we work directly with the influencers. So we'll put together a briefing doc. We'll put in the key campaign messaging that they need to include. And then we'll have discussed the creative objectives and what they want to get for their channel, because really it is a partnership, because we want the content's going to sit on their space, on their channel or on their vlog, and so they have to make it engaging for their fans, and we want it to be as engaging as possible for their fans, and they're the experts at what works on their channel, so it's always best to work with them directly, and they know what works for them and their audience. Another challenge for influencers is that they don't realise or know the kind of timeframes that we're working on. So if we've got a film out 6 months' time or next year, should they be thinking about ideas now, or when are the screening opportunities? And if you're new to the industry, or you're trying to get a foot in the door, or you're trying to work more with distributors, my advice would be earlier is always better, and also don't be worried that things change also at the last minute and release dates can change. So it's always better to have those ideas banked earlier. The influencer has always been there, but it's just the style of influence now and the people that we're trying to work with now has changed slightly. So I would say they've always been important, but just the type of influencers that we're working with has slightly changed. So much video is now online, but when you work with an influencer or someone who has a very engaged audience or has worked and really knows the content that they're putting out, if you work with them closely, then you have a better chance of breaking through that mass of AV content that's online at the moment. And people are consuming hours via social media or just online. And so the better the connection, then I think the better the cut through. And so for that reason, I'd say influencers are even more important now. My advice for new influencers is to make sure that you have links to your pages and any social channels you have, your demographics or what you know of your demographics, but also your passion points, and have a look at the slate that we've got. If you're approaching us directly, the biggest thing I can say is look at the films we've got ahead. If there's one that stands out to you, come to us directly with that idea and tell us something you want to work on. If we're working with a more film blogger who is looking at films critically, wants to get into reviewing films, it's a different kind of partnership because the opportunity would be slightly different with them. We would never want to affect their editorial voice or put opinions into their mouths, and they have to stay very true to their audience and how they see the film and their opinion. I think on the flip side, when we're working with people commercially, there's a real anxiety early on when it was sort of a new thing to make sure that the tone fits. It's a new area that everyone's kind of learning about together. And so that's why the more conversations you can have, the better, because the better fit the film and the influencer is, the better the content. We've had opportunities where it's just perfect matches and you're sitting there and everyone who's involved is just really enjoying it, and everyone comes away really elated and just really having enjoyed the experience and just really excited about the film. And those are the best moments because you've done the background research, you'd have all the conversations in advance, and you find the films that really match in interests and passions, and that's when it works at its best.